Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of the Diving Deep podcast. Today, we will be discussing Ralph Waldo's essay Nature and Walt Whitman's preface to Leaves of Grass. Their representations of Earth and nature in general are more important to the American national identity than you probably realize. To begin, one of the main causes of self questioning since the beginning of our civilization is our role as beings of this earth. Generally, there's an affinity and appreciation for nature, or on the contrary, a necessity to exploit it for personal gain. To contextualize you a little bit more, both authors are American and from the 19th century. They're inspired by their opposing beliefs towards how society is built and is said should be. They were born into a post colonized United States where the people that came before them, parents or grandparents, came to build a new empire to separate themselves from the British monarchy. Initially, the plan for the colonizers was to establish a new way of living. They were so used to living in these established cities to serve their kings that they wanted autonomy from that. They had no interest in the over industrialization, and they wanted to be citizens who are free to have their own land and live off of their own produce, whether it is cattle or stock. Basically, be self efficient. This didn't go exactly according to plan, because now this land and cattle had to be taken care of. This created a new type of industry which had to be powered by somebody, and sadly, those people who were being exploited were black slaves. These beautiful landscapes were now tinted by the atrocities of torture towards other people who did not deserve this cruelty. This created an era of literature called the American Renaissance, inspired by British Romanticism. It was actually very similar on how they viewed nature as something to be admired. The difference was that they weren't only criticizing overproduction and industrialization, but the imprisoning lifestyle of constantly working in order to become successful, without actually living as a free human being, part of a collective of our planet Earth. Ralph Waldo, particularly, was inspired by the Industrial Revolution and how he was opposed to it. In his essay Nature, he promoted the belief of nature being an expression of divinity. He was opposed to utilizing it and making it a sort of garden that mimics the control and power of this industrialized living. The savage and wild ways of untouched nature were inspiration as to how we should be as beings of Earth. He promoted being self reliant and to not allow yourself to be influenced by the corrupting civilization. On the other hand, Walt Whitman, through journalism, observed very closely the development of the slave trade. He was an American abolitionist who tried to promote peace and unity through his work. He was a poet of inclusivity and for the common people. In his preface to Leaves of Grass, he speaks of himself as a superior being for being a poet and his quality to be influential on his way of thinking. The interesting thing is that he is not being narcissistic when doing this, because he also believes that everyone is connected. His idea is that we are all a part of a collective of humanity, which makes us all one. When he speaks of himself in a superior light, he is talking about everyone as they are all equal to him and have the same capabilities. Now, you may be asking yourself, how do these authors actually contribute to the American self identity? It is crucial to comprehend the past and analyze it in order to understand the present. These authors were alive in a time where the nation was first establishing itself. American Enlightenment unraveled a dark history. The contradictions that build up regarding the nation's ideal as a free country will have repercussions that are still prevalent today. Nature wasn't being protected, but it was being controlled into a domestication and sameness that came with plantations. Not only that, but these plantations also brought one of the darkest atrocities to the nation's history with its slave trade. The understanding of these processes with the representation that has stuck with us thanks to literature is necessary so we can learn from mistakes. These authors have created historical pieces to help us understand the context in a deeper manner, helping us open our eyes towards society. In most cases, what they express can resonate with us to this day and inspire an open mind toward what's imposed to us. Everything that happens in history, in a way, builds our identity as we are born into beliefs that are consequences of the past. Thank you for listening, and I hope my opinion can resonate with you in some way. Till next time!